Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, episode 27. My name is Mike Williams. I'm joined by Mr. Jake Kulkowski and Liam McKelvey. Today we're going to be talking about COD Beta. We've got some thoughts about the COD private beta. These guys have been playing that over the weekend. We're going to be talking about Half-Life 3, just why that is still a conversation in 2017. There's some news that's relating to Half-Life 3 that's interesting anyway for anyone who's been following that. We're also going to be talking about G2A and how one kind of indie developer, I guess, would actually prefer that people pirated his game than buy it on a key reseller site like G2A, which is a big statement, isn't it? It's a pretty
bold, very bold.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll get into that conversation later on. Of course, we've got Fact of the Week, despite some opposition. Fact of the Week returns.
Gaz wasn't really up for Fact of the Week.
Nor
My question is,
many viewers either.
Where is Gaz now? Where's Gaz now?
Okay, so Fact of the Week is here. Gaz isn't, is what Jake is saying.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And we've also got your comments, which are great this week. Plenty of comments to get into. Yeah. So let's talk about the COD beta then, guys. The COD private beta ran over the weekend, which was a PS4. It was only on PS4 last weekend.
Yeah.
But it's running again the coming weekend for PS4 and Xbox One from September the 1st. It's probably going to be 10 a.m. Pacific time / 6 p.m. UK time to the 4th of September. So you got the whole weekend basically. There's three or four days there to jump in and see what you make of it. It's only open to people who have pre-ordered it. Which kind of sucks. You want to jump into the beta, then buy the game first. I guess is the message that they're sending there. But regardless of that, it's a pretty big beta, guys, isn't it? There's plenty of stuff in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of content to it.
Yeah, different game modes and 3 or 4 different maps, isn't it, Liam?
Yeah, plenty of weapons and gadgets to unlock. And
do you feel like it give you a good taste?
Definitely, yeah.
You got a good idea of the multiplayer package there now.
Yeah, there's like a level cap, which was 20, and then it upgraded to 25 towards the end of the weekend. Okay. But that's about half of the levels before Prestige. And you got your different kill streaks. There was different classes, quite a lot of maps and modes. So
the maps that I've got here are Pointe du Hoc, which is quite famous World War II kind of battle scenario. Ardennes. And Gibraltar, and the modes that you can play on those are the new war modes, I guess. Can you guys explain what that is? That's kind of Battlefield-ish in a sense, isn't it?
So if you're familiar with operations in Battlefield 1, where it's like different objectives over different maps, war's kind of like a more simple version of that. So first objective, you have to capture a manor house thing. Then you have to cross a bridge, build it.
You're building the bridge, and
that's awesome.
You actually have to build it, and then the opposite team have to destroy it and halt progress.
I like the idea of that.
And then the final ones, you've got to escort your tank across. Which
you can get in. You can get into the tank.
You can sit as a gunner.
that is immediately a lot more Battlefield-ish, isn't it? It can't be a coincidence the Battlefield 1 has been doing pretty well.
Obviously, the big thing with that is that you've got your side and their side, so it's not like traditional Call of Duty where you can run around a map. You've got your territory and they've got theirs, and you push that or push it back. So people can't get in and flank you. So there'll be this bridge in the middle of the map, and it'll be the side you're trying to get across, and you can't sneak your way over there, and they can't do it back. And there's a lot of that. It's very good if you want that World War II experience and you're still a bit too used to Battlefield 1, and it's a good way of easing into a game again after Battlefield 1.
I like the sound of that. I mean, the war mode is what is most appealing to me at the moment, other than the shift to World War II, of course, which is probably the best decision they've made for the series in years, in my opinion. But that sounds very interesting. I prefer Battlefield to COD by miles because of that sense of battle and the battle line, so that people aren't spawning behind you and you're killing someone and they're spawning right in your ass within a few seconds. I hate that kind of stuff. So the fact that they're trying to appeal to that side of things a little bit more is interesting. But you've got your traditional ones as well, haven't you? You've got your team deathmatch and domination,
hardpoint.
Hardpoint. That's the one I couldn't remember the name of earlier.
You've dipped into those as well, guys.
Yeah, the little mess around.
Does it feel like COD, or is it a big departure?
I think it does. I think it feels like they've made an effort to go old school Call of Duty. It feels more like COD 4, Modern Warfare 2 than say Black Ops or Advanced Warfare.
How have they done that? They've taken away a lot of the abilities.
Well, that's it. Yeah, Liam's going to be able to tell you a bit more about it, because all I remember was I played Call of Duty up to Black Ops, right? I didn't bother with all the jetpack pink gun shit, And I'm playing this, and I feel like nothing's happened since I've been gone, which is funny because everyone's saying it's going back, but for me, I haven't played the game in about 8 years, and it feels like it's gone nowhere. So it's funny, really, because I missed all the space stuff, but it's very much like I don't know, like kind of World at War had it where you could, you get your kill streaks and stuff. This, you can customize your kill streaks on this one though, and you got your different classes, but there's no sliding around and shields and all that. So you can't sprint forever, as far as I'm aware. Maybe
they took out the infinite sprint, which is a thing from like Ghosts onward, I think.
Yeah,
it's like you actually have to time your sprint now.
That's
like if you just charge into the middle of the map, you will just get annihilated.
I think part of the thing they've been doing with COD is kind of a power creep thing, where they've just been adding more and more abilities for you to do and different things for you to be able to pull off. And infinite sprint, and what's that, like dolphin dive thing or something?
That is still in it, the dive thing.
That's disappointing, the fact that
like the Superman dive, that's been in like Battlefield 2. Like it's been on
I guess
PC since early. And
right,
I mean, I think all the Call of Duty is about that, and people want to feel like they're pulling off cool stuff. I think maybe like I can remember Black Ops, people were doing like insane tomahawk 360s and stuff, and I think maybe they've tapped into that. They want to make people feel as cool as possible. So if you could, like, I don't know, wall run jetpack 360, throw a knife someone in the neck, with your customized pink camouflage tomahawk, or knife or whatever, you're going to feel pretty cool. That's what they think. This is about, they're saying about like beats on the exactly. Someone apparently thinks that, but this is more like boots on. If you're like me and you've not played the Call of Duty game in 8 years, you're going to be playing it and being like, it's Call of Duty, all right. But if you've followed the series all the way through, you'll probably be excited to know that this is a little bit more like the Modern Warfare 2 days and all that.
Okay, so it's not just the gameplay, though. They've changed the whole meta around it. I guess they've changed the progression system and stuff a little bit. So there's divisions now. Can you explain what those are?
It's like divisions are kind of like classes. So there's infantry, airborne, armoured, expedition force, and
Mountaineer,
which is like the sniper.
What, that just affects your loadout or something? Or?
They all have like different specialties, and they do have like abilities tied to them. So like airborne is SMG is your main weapon, but you get benefits for that. Like you get a suppressor that you can attach to any SMG, like as long as you play in the airborne division.
Yeah, so it's little perks.
I don't know if airborne infantry had suppressors though. This is when they keep saying they want it to be as authentic as possible.
Well, if you're airborne and you're landing in, you're going to be landing behind enemy lines, so you'll want to be taking people out stealthily. That's their feeling, I suppose.
I've seen Band of Brothers, mate. There's not one. Suppressor in that show.
I'm not, of course, questioning anyone's integrity here, apart from theirs. But I'm trying to get into their mindset, and I suppose that's what they're thinking. It's going to be the behind enemy lines people. So, like what Liam said, then there are perks tied to the class. So I was playing Mountaineer, which is like the stealth sniper class, and obviously when you hit a certain rank, you get the perk. So I'm gonna forever call it UAV. A UAV from COD 4, the recon thing, where it
recon plane.
You don't show up on their recon plane and stuff like that. So there are perks tied to that, and then there's different unlocks that you spend your coins on. Is it a medal? Or is it a coin?
You get like unlock tokens, which is a thing they kept from like Black Ops 2 onwards, I think. Which I know not a lot of people like, because it just like limits basically what you can
spend them on what you want to upgrade.
You get one per level usually.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, what you guys are saying. I mean, for me, I thought this was meant to be a bit of a reboot almost for the series, and a bit of a revamp and a going back to what made the series great and all that sort of stuff, right? But it sounds to me like they have brought stuff over, like from recent games, from the Black Ops sub-series and stuff. And they're willing to keep a lot of stuff in there, but also they want to relive the glory days of COD. So have they balanced that pretty well based on the beta? Do you think that there's too much of the COD ghosts and the Black Ops, or is it a nice balance that they've got?
I think it's a nice balance myself, because I played Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3, all them, and I wasn't a particularly big fan of the whole wall running 360 jetpack shit. And it's nice.
I don't think anyone really was, though, were they? That's the thing with it.
But it's nice to see they've gone back to the more COD 4, Modern Warfare 2 style of COD. But they have included some of the, I suppose, ease of life quality of life improvements from the newer ones. So it's good, and I think it's struck quite a nice balance between the two, in all honesty.
Cool. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I mean, something like Call of Duty 4, right, was great. I spent loads of time on it, and Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 had the better system with kill streaks, because you could customize. So you didn't want a UAV after 3 kills. Maybe you're confident you can get 5 kills every game, and you want to customize that. That is a better thing than what was originally in there. So they're giving you more flexibility with stuff like that. I mean, Is it going to win over any new fans?
Well, that was going to be my big question. That was going to be the one. I mean, not only that, people who've left the series, people like me who have decided at COD, World at War, that I was like, oh, hang on a minute, this is very similar to Modern Warfare, and and just kind of fell off the series a little bit since it changed the way it did. Will it bring those people back? Will it bring like the COD 2 purists and stuff like that? Do you know what I mean? Will it bring them back on board, and does it do enough to convince older fans who maybe aren't into the series anymore?
Yeah, probably not. Not COD 2. Like if you're a fan of COD 2, like I know Gaz is, that's one of his favourite games. I don't think World War 2 are winning back at all.
No,
right?
Because it's definitely more Modern Warfare 2.
Modern Warfare 2. If there's going to be anything, I think for me,
that though, like the series has been going that long. There's people who played Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 thought this is great, and then got bored with like Ghosts and Black Ops 2 and all. There's so many.
It's
of them.
just a thing, isn't it? I mean, people are saying it's going back to the old stuff. I thought they meant like COD 1, 2, 3,
There's
but
so
they
much
meant
old stuff.
They meant But I think what for me is like the reason I won't go back. I think it's just like the gameplay compared to Battlefield 1 is still so lackluster.
You won't go back?
No, I'm not going to buy it. And the reason I'm not is because, like I was saying to you guys in the office, I play Sniper a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And
here we go.
And Liam will agree completely because that's what he's been doing, and I don't blame him. But when you play Call of Duty, it looks like the best way to play the game is running, gunning. A lot of people seem to run around the perimeter of the map because you know where you've just been and you know where you're going because you're just following it around. And the maps are quite small, so if you're sniping, like 9 times out of 10 when I died on the game, I was getting shot in the side or in the back by people that have either spawned or just ran behind me and flanked me. In Battlefield 1, you didn't have much of an opportunity for that to happen because the map's so big and open. It felt fairer.
And you had the battle lines, didn't you? You had the sense of one side moving against another.
Exactly. So in the war mode on this, you got a bit of a better chance to snipe. But my play style, I like to play medium to long range, and I like to play the objective. And this seems to still be a very running. If you like quite fast-paced running, gun and action, this is for you. But for me, after I've played Battlefield 1 and I've had a taste of, wow, this is everything I like about a shooter, especially in an older setting, I don't know why I'd go back to or buy a new COD when I can just play Battlefield 1. I only have it vanilla. I haven't paid for any of those stupid modes or whatever they're doing that bullshit with the special editions, and I'm quite happy playing the same 10 maps and loving it. So it's still, in my opinion, really inferior to Battlefield 1.
Okay.
But if you're playing it to run and gun, you probably have a lot more fun than Battlefield 1 because the maps are smaller and everything's so labyrinthian and mazy and trenches, and you can get behind people.
They've got to be really good at that by now, haven't they? They've got to be really good at their level design for run and gun gameplay, and they've been trying to spice it up by adding like wall run sections you could only get past by wall running and things like that in some of the more recent games. Surely they can come up with interesting layouts.
It's just a shame, like you've got to decide: do I want to try and play the way I want to play, or do I have to adapt to the only way that I can keep up with everybody else? So it's like I could be having fun at the bottom of the scoreboard and dying every 2 seconds, or if you can't beat them, join them and get a shotgun and knock about. Liam plays for a lot longer than me. You hit the level cap, which was 20, and then you hit 25 and hit 25. You were playing run and gun, right?
Yeah, I went the airborne class, which is the SMG one.
It sounds like that's the most COD-ish class there is.
It definitely is. Like you can. Once you unlock a few of the perks, like there's this mini sight you can get for SMGs and all guns pretty much, which makes you aim really quick. Then combine that with the perk that makes you aim down sights really quick, and you can just run around like a utter madman, getting hundreds of kills.
With a silencer as well, so you don't even pop up on a map, it's a bit of bullshit really.
Which is very COD-ish, I guess. Just running around the map like a insane person.
Okay, so it's kind of a mixed bag then. It's a mixed bag of what I'm getting off you anyway. That there's definitely improvements, and that it's a kind of different game, but also it's very much familiar to anyone who's played a COD game before. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for me. I'm still very interested in it, but like I've said a few times now, I'm just going to wait for the reviews and see what the consensus is. And if people are saying this is an amazing COD game, one of the best, or that it just doesn't feel like COD, I'm going to have to see what the consensus is before I dip into it, because I'm still pretty suspicious that it's going to be too familiar, too much like the recent few games.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing to mention though before we move on is that obviously this is the multiplayer beta, and the maps have been looking really good since they were showing it, you know, the concept art and stuff like that. One of our patrons, Cropper, lives in Gibraltar, and he was impressed by the Gibraltar map, and that's about as much of a thumbs up as you can get. So like in terms of the story mode, and they've been talking about authentic, and they were saying that the story mode's different in the multiplayer mode. They want to make this a really authentic thing. It's
going to be a big part of it. For me,
yeah.
for sure.
So and to be honest with you, the Call of Duty games, I enjoy the big Hollywood-esque, big moments of the campaign in COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2. So do you know what? I'll definitely have to, you know, borrow this off somebody and play the campaign, but I wouldn't buy it.
Just not pay for it.
No, I'm definitely not going to be buying it. But I reckon the campaign is looking like, just from the maps I've seen, looks like there could be some good set pieces.
I mean, it's I'm totally in agreement. I think I want a good World War II experience. I recently played Wolfenstein and I absolutely loved it. But that's a very silly, you know, it's a very sci-fi. You know, it's a different thing. Yeah, and there's a few games that really tackle that kind of period at the moment, and the closest thing that I've really had and really got my teeth into was Battlefield 1, and that was the First World War. So yeah, I'm interested to see what the campaign's like. The zombies mode as well, I'm interested in, because you can have laughs with the zombies mode, for sure. So
great co-op in it.
So there we go. That's the COD multiplayer private beta. If you want to try it out, and you've pre-ordered the game, you can do from 10 a.m. Pacific time in America on September the 1st, and that runs through the whole weekend to September the 4th. So you've got a few days to jump into it there.
That's for Xbox and PlayStation 4
that's right, yeah.
And I'm not sure if this is what's going to happen, but I think the maps that you would have heard us discussing just now, I don't know if they're going to be having new maps or changing it, but it's the second weekend of beta, so I don't know if they're going to be taking the feedback from this one and making any changes. But
you'd hope so. I mean, they kind of did that kind of thing with the Bungie one, the Destiny one, didn't they? They kind of addressed things like, there's not enough special ammo. Here you go. You know what I mean? Supercharged as well. Yeah, that's the whole point, really, of having a beta. They just do it these days for marketing and hype building.
It's not
purposes.
A fucking preview, is it?
It's not. So let's talk about Half-Life 3. Half-Life 3, the game that never was. Half-Life 2 came out in November 2004. Had a couple of episodes of DLC, which are very confusingly named, by the way. I have to see. Yes. Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Episode 2 makes it sound like the game split into two halves.
Yeah,
it was bad. Anyway, that's a complete sideshow to the main thing.
But a worthy point, Mike. To be honest, because it is a bit of bullshit, isn't it?
So Half-Life 3, or well, rather Half-Life 2, was kind of resurfaced in the news this week or the last week. The script for Half-Life 2 Episode 3, which would have been kind of the concluding chapter to the bits of DLC that came out after Half-Life 2, which is all very confusing. Half-Life 2 ended on a cliffhanger. Yes. And then they kind of addressed it with Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and then Episode 2, which introduced yet more kind of tension and cliffhangery type stuff. They just left it dangling there. So fans of the series that don't know, and it's famously one of the most anticipated games that never was. People have been crying out for Half-Life 3 for absolutely years.
Possibly the biggest.
Probably the biggest, the most memed and the most long running, and Valve have just been so stubbornly just kind of it's not happening. Don't even worry about it, guys. Don't worry about it, guys. Half-Life's not happening. Their attitude has been completely at odds with that of the community. So what's happened this time? Well, Valve employee Mark Laidlaw he left the company about a year ago, I think, and he's published a short story or kind of a synopsis online called Epistle 3. Right, which is on his blog, and it's just like fanfic, basically. It's just essentially what it is. It's fan fiction. However, it is a plausible plotline to the announced but never actually released Half-Life 2 Episode 3. Yeah. So they were going to make it. They were intending to make this, but they just didn't. They just didn't bother. Right. And what this guy's done is released the story of that in a short form kind of synopsis that gives you an idea of everything that happens, all of the events that pan out. We're not going to go into that here, but that's why it's in the news. So there's a story there, and there's some kind of the closest thing that fans are probably going to get to closure
from an official writer. So
the most official thing that we've got, I guess. Isn't it? So and he's not really a writer anymore, and he's been laughing about it and kind of. You know, people saying, people think this is the end of Half-Life. This is the actual script for Half-Life. How funny, you know? He knows exactly what's been going on, but he's kind of been pretending that this isn't what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So what this has done is reminded people that they are pissed off at Valve, and how have they been venting that? How have they been reflecting their emotions onto Valve? Just so Valve are aware that they are pissed off at them. They've been going on to Steam, which is Valve's platform, using Steam Reviews, which is Valve's tool that they put on there to make things better for consumers and stuff, so they have a better idea of what games are like. And they've been review bombing Valve's game Dota 2, which is the biggest game on Steam, or one of the biggest next to CS:GO. And it's just a kind of pushback, just an eruption of negative reviews on Steam, which we've seen happen a few times in the past.
Yeah.
And there's something about it that feels kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's maybe a little bit
petty as fuck.
I guess, yeah.
Ridiculous.
Childish.
Pointless.
However,
stupid.
It's effective. Because it gets results, right? And I'm just trying to think of it from a point of view of someone who really, really wants Half-Life to they want closure on that series. And they've seen this be an effective tool for communities in the past. It's had good results, positive results for people in communities, who've been ripped off and properly have been given reason to be annoyed at companies.
Brought back GTA mods.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. The whole Take-Two thing where they just clamped down on mods. They had such a backlash online, led by negative Steam reviews, Steam review bombing. That was so effective that they completely got a corporation to change its mind on something that was pretty dead set to do. So it can be an effective tool, right? But is this going to be... what is this going to achieve? Is Valve going to look at this and go, you know what, we better make Half-Life 3 or Half-Life 2 Episode 3,
I'm
because...
sure they'll cry into their billions and billions of dollars.
Steam don't give a fuck. And you know what? I really hate this. I hate this happening. Right. Because you know what it is doing? It's taking the authenticity and the power of these things, like you were just saying then.
Yeah, abusing the tool.
Yeah, Paradox did a price hike. They got some bad things to actually reflect that. It happened. Rockstar on GTA 5 took away mods. GTA 5 got bombed, right? Yeah. Red Dead Redemption didn't get bombed. Oh, sorry, that's not on PC. Sorry, PC Master Race. But I'll tell you what, though, right? What the fuck is the point on Dota 2? Look at the reviews for Dota 2. Do I want to buy Dota 2? Do I want to download it free? Oh, the reviews are mixed. Huh? Why are the reviews mixed? Because Half-Life 3 doesn't exist. It gives such a counter argument for this sort of thing. It makes review bombing seem like a joke. And when you read what they're saying, it's not good criticism. It's stuff like Half-Life 3 died for this. People just trying to meme hard and become the meme lords, and it's a fucking
stuff
stupid.
like Goodnight Mr. Freeman and shit like that.
Yeah,
it's Dota 2 being blamed, essentially, isn't it, for Half-Life 3 not existing, or Half-Life 2 Episode 3 not existing. Do you think they've got a valid point, though? Because I'm kind of inclined to feel a little bit... I've played through it, and I don't feel like any kind of rage or any kind of real longing for the story to be finished off for me. I've played through it. But I'm just like, it is what it is. Most of my favourite movies, TV shows, games, everything, they have ambiguous endings and they leave it on a thing. So I don't know. I guess it's just something that hasn't really hurt me kind of emotionally to be like, why haven't they finished this story? Do you think they've got a point though?
I don't know. People have got entitlement. People have got a lot more entitlement than they did when Half-Life 2 came out. People spent money on the series, right? So maybe they've got a point there. I've spent money and time on this story, and am I entitled to know the ending? Well, I think, that's what people think, right? But do they? I don't know. I mean, it's like you're saying, ambiguous ending. It's happened loads. Think about what's that Joss Whedon one? Firefly, is it?
Well, that wasn't even. Yeah, that was just unfinished. Same as this.
Yeah, look, there's loads of robberies, isn't there? Yeah, I'm fucking pissed off that Hannibal was cancelled. I don't go on American God's IMDb page and start crying about it, going, Hannibal died for this, because that's exactly what this is like, and it achieves absolutely nothing apart from makes you look like a whiny little bitch. And that's my opinion. I know that that's not a very popular opinion, and if you did leave a comment about that, then I can only empathise with you because it must have meant that much to you that you took time out to do it.
Well, I
respect that, I guess.
This is what I'm interested in. I personally think it's a bit daft to be doing it, and it's not gonna get results, is what I think. I don't think nothing's going to come of it. Valve is so successful and so unique as a company, so interesting as a company, that stuff like this just washes off them, and it's something that isn't going to get anywhere. I think it's as simple as that for me. As far as will we ever see anything realised, Half-Life 2 Episode 3 or Half-Life 3? The big reason that Valve has given, well, as far as we can kind of tell, there's no. It's going to happen when there's a reason for it to happen. Because Half-Life 2 existed because the physics developments, the advancements in video game physics, which when they implemented that in Half-Life 2 was like mind-blowing. It was like manipulating objects in the world, which is something that you just didn't have in games before that, right? And it was crazy, and the game was built around that. They had puzzles around it. They had like weapons and tools like the gravity gun famously and things like that. That's why it existed as a game. What Valve's philosophy seems to be is, well, there's no reason to make Half-Life 3 because there hasn't been anything like that we've...
I saw there's some people like rumouring that, like Half-Life has been tied to big technical innovations in games. Like you said, like physics, the gravity gun and stuff for 2. A lot of people like saying maybe it'll be like VR game. Like Valve are making the big push into that.
This is a theory that I've seen floating around as well. It's an interesting one, right?
Yeah. I mean, like what we're saying about that, like they make games when they need to make games. Let's ignore the fact that they just made a shitty Dota card game when we've got loads of them. And here's another theory I want to put out there. And I know that I'm really fucking setting fire to the hornet's nest here, but I really, really think everyone needs to wake up to Valve. They're not the consumer-friendly people everyone thinks they are.
Not.
Why would you make Half-Life 3, which has had 13 years or 14 years of hype around it? You'll never meet the expectations ever, when you can just skim 30% of the profits of all the people that use your platform, Steam. People just love Valve, right? And they don't need to do anything. They've got a good PR for some stupid reason, because they've got like followers that think they're amazing when they're not. All they have to do is sit there and do nothing, and there'll be people defending them. They're not going to do it though, are they? Because Steam is basically what they do now. Steam and fucking card games.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. They're a platform holder at the moment.
Yeah, but not really a game developer anymore.
No, and this is something that I am interested in. The fact that they are not even... Not that they're not financially interested in making Half-Life 3, that they are not creatively interested in it. They don't want to make it. They think that, why bother? I mean, we've already done the physics thing. There's nothing new at the moment that we can explore creatively. Why bother? And
perhaps
the fact that whoever is working there now, that the personnel will be totally different to whoever made Half-Life 2.
Well, that's what they say, isn't it? They do say that and there's people. There's been articles you can find online, isn't there? Like people have said, "Oh, I started Half-Life 3. I've started these stories," and people were more interested in Team Fortress 2 and stuff like that, or whatever, expanding other games and things like that. They talk about this all the time. That they've got some like hippie commune where there's no structure, but apparently there really is, and there's cliques there and things like that. And people will not support people working on Half-Life 3. I think it would really be in everyone's best interest to just stop expecting it. It's like CD Projekt Red and The Witcher 4. If it ever happens, it can't live up to the hype, right? And it's a smart thing for Valve to just ignore it and stop memeing, stop joking, stop making hints, and
stop review bombing Dota 2. Because it's not going to change.
No, I mean that's what Valve, because Valve would make hints, wouldn't they? Originally, Gabe Newell would make hints towards Half-Life 3, and now they've completely stopped it and things like that. And I think that's a wise thing to do. I think people just need to kind of. I don't know, move on. There's lots of great games out there, by the way, guys. Finished games you can play. You could play Dota 2. That's free.
Ooh, too soon.
Enjoy a bit of that, innit? Will I be Dota 3?
Probably not.
No.
Let's leave it there, I guess. I mean, just Half-Life 3 doesn't exist. Just play Dota 2. The words of Jake Kulkowski.
I'll take the blame for that. Sorry, Valve fans. I know that was a bit mean, but...
So let's move on to piracy. And
this one's going to be just as nice and breezy as a topic, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is going to go down well. So Darkwood, the game. Can you guys tell me about Darkwood?
Yeah.
It's
sure. Liam's going to hit me with some survival horror knowledge in a minute. It's going to be real fucking good. It's made by this development team called Acid Wizard, I think. And it's a top-down horror game, right? And they're sick of all these horror games with all these jump scares, amnesia rip-offs, sanity bars and all that nonsense. So they thought, right, we're going to make our own one. So they went on Indiegogo when they started a project. It's done really well. And the game's out now. And it looks pretty cool. There'll be gameplay of it right now when I'm talking, so have a look at that. And yeah, it looks nice, man. It looks cool. It's got no jump scares, they've promised, and it's a little indie thing. And survival horror is the genre, Liam, is that correct? And do you think survival horror has been diluted to fuck lately?
I think it has.
It's hard to stand out, isn't it? It's really hard to make your survival horror stand out.
The rise of games like Amnesia and like the Alien Isolation, they've really pretty much...
Well, it's had an impact on the Resident Evil series, for example. Resident Evil's changed genre.
Literally just, you can't fight. Survival horror used to be all about fighting back, managing your resources, solving puzzles. Then games like Amnesia pretty much like boiled it down to just
run away.
Yeah, you've got all you can do is run in games like Outlast, and that as a sort of as a survival horror fan,
possessed, mate.
Yeah, as a fan, that really pissed me off because I love the genre, like Resident Evil 1 and 2, 3. But yeah, seeing all these games come out like Outlast really pissed me off.
Yeah.
To see a game like Darkwood come along and sort of bring that back in an indie fashion, it's really got me excited.
It looks pretty unique, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the only way they're unique, isn't that right, Mike?
Well, yeah. So here's the thing. Here's what's interesting about Darkwood. The developer has actually decided to put the game on, just to pirate it, to make it available to pirates, and it's on Pirate Bay, and it's really easy to get hold of for free. Why have they done that? Deliberately, they've done that on purpose, because they would rather people did that than actually buy the game through a key reseller site like G2A.
Yep.
Which is a bit of a damning statement of G2A, is it not?
Just a little for the company that claims they're not shady. Yeah. When a developer says, we'd rather you pirate it.
G2A, quite rightly, may I say, get a lot of shit, don't they? And, I mean, God, this is literally like the I'd rather be dead than sort of... That's the game development thing. I'd rather be dead than you have a slice of the pie. And, yeah, well, they're saying that the amount they'll profit off it, they'll you know... And you know what? I mean, is it completely ridiculous? Probably not.
It's because, like... This company, Acid Wizard Studio, they were getting emails from people. There was two sides to it. There was people saying they really want to support the game, but they can't afford it.
Yeah.
And then there was people who were scammers, pretending to be like YouTube channels, review websites, bloggers, trying to get keys. People do this. They take those keys and they resell them on G2A and cdkeys.com, stuff like that.
Fucking
selling stolen goods, basically.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what's happening. Yeah. So this is how badly the Acid Wizard, the developer, are actually afraid of key resellers. Okay, these are their words. Okay, this is their kind of statement. All right. So if you're going to pirate the game, they say, there's no catch, no added pirate hats or characters or anything like that. We have just one request. If you like Darkwood and want us to continue making games, consider buying it in the future. So that's like they're even suggesting you buy it at a sale price or a reduced price, but you can pirate it right now if you want to get in the game and see what it's about and support them later down the line. Okay, so that's one thing they're suggesting rather than buy it now from G2A. And they go on to say this: please don't buy it through any key reselling sites. By doing that, you're just feeding the cancer that is leeching off this industry. I mean,
very strong words.
Key resellers are kind of a boogeyman, aren't they? I mean, you know, when Gearbox ridiculously partnered with G2A for Bulletstorm, like the re-release thing.
That's right. Yeah,
they got so much shit for that. They got so much abuse. Basically, they were just.
They got a Total Biscuit essay.
They got a Total Biscuit. They got Jim Sterling doing Jimquisition on it. They had all of the the Reddit and whatever just talking about how stupid of a decision this was. Okay, because G2A are not a good name to be affiliated with.
No. Oh my God,
in the industry. I think have you. Does it surprise you that this company is going, here's our game for free, for Christ's sake, don't buy it? Is that a surprise to you? Because I was absolutely gobsmacked when I read this.
I mean, it's not a surprise for me, because I can see where they're coming from. When people sell the keys on G2A, they don't get any of that. G2A and the seller get 100% profit off it. Well, I imagine it's split. I don't know what the split between the key seller and G2A's cut is. But yeah, the developer won't get any of it. And I can see that point. They'd rather just give it away for free than have someone profit off of their work.
Yeah, exactly. I think that there's a way that I see it, and it's kind of like I used to make music, right? And I got to play abroad. I played shows. I made money off it, right? I was on the radio. How much money did I make off sales of my songs? Nothing. And I'll tell you why. Because I gave all the songs away for free. Because in the music industry, you make all your money nowadays from live shows and merchandise, because you can't download the experience of being there and stuff like that. And and another thing with the music industry is CDs and T-shirts and that, they become collector's items, okay? And it looks like the indie developers kind of see it a little bit like that. Like the way that these guys are doing it is they're happy to give the product away for free, and they're kind of banking on people that like it so much they want to support that. Now, I know people that do that as well. Like, they'll stream music on Spotify and other like places like that. And if they really like an album, they'll buy it on vinyl or they'll buy a CD. And I'm not saying that I think games are going to go down that route, but can you imagine if, you know, Spotify was charging loads of money to subscribe to it, the service, and then which they do, by the way, but the artist made no money, then why would the artist use Spotify rather than they can just go on, you know, they could put on their website a zip file of the album and say, stop supporting Spotify and giving money to this company, download it for free, and if you like it, buy it. This is what these guys have done, right? So what I'm trying to say here is they're using piracy as a kind of a free marketing tool, and it's worked because we're talking about it, everyone else is talking about it, and loads of people are playing that game that wouldn't. If 10% of people buy that game to support them because they think that they're doing an awesome thing, they think the game's that damn good, or they just want to give a fucking middle finger to G2A, they're probably going to make more sales, because let's face it, before this video, before this podcast, or how many people heard of Darkwood, right?
Well, exactly.
And it's like that, isn't it? It helps so much to have press. So they're using a very clever tactic here, and I think that they'll make more in sales from doing this.
It's also taking control of the situation, which I quite like, because you'd see this happening to your game. You'd see, you know, you'd see the games industry kind of suffering at the hands of the key reseller type thing. You're like, oh, I don't want that to happen to my game. It is happening to my game. I'm losing loads of sales here, and someone else is making loads of money off of my work. He's kind of like he's just taking it into his own hands and saying, well, you know what, I'm going to put it on Pirate Bay, and I'm going to just make a friendly, you know, appealing to people's better nature, that you can, here you go, have the game, right? I'd rather you have it than give someone else money for my work, and, you know, support me down the line if you want to do that. What I think this is though, it's part of a broader picture of the games industry just trying to, you know, there's so many models at the moment with like free to play and like season passes and all of that stuff, right? A big part of that stuff for me is the corporations trying to tackle piracy or trying to get round piracy by making it less of a problem by getting money through other means. So free to play, they give the game away for free. The only catch is it's full of microtransactions, and maybe they can charge you DLC on top of that or something if you want, you know, expansions and things like that. There's every big AAA game comes with a season pass now, because you're gonna have to, if you've got the game, you're gonna have to buy the DLC on top of that if you want the complete experience, if you want the full package. That's the only way to do it. And if you want to, you know, if you want this little bit of, if you want this character skin and this exclusive weapon, you're gonna have to give me your money now. So make sure that you get that at launch. And all of that stuff is just part of it is trying to cope with the damage that gets caused to them by piracy from their point of view, as far as they see it. So I like what this guy's done on an indie scale. It's like he's doing effectively that, but in a very, you know, in respecting his fans by not squeezing the fans he has. He's instead appealing to people who haven't bought the game, saying, "Look, here it is.
This is what I mean.
Support me if you're cool."
What I was touching on a minute ago is like, if you want to pirate a game, you don't want to pay for it, you're going to do it, right? It's not hard to find a pirated game, and it's not hard to crack a game, is it? Like Resident Evil 7 was cracked in a week. It had Denuvo and all that, right? If you don't want to pay for the game, you're not going to pay for the game. People that want to support it will. Like Liam, for example, right? We get keys sent to us all the time. Most of the big games we get for free. Liam buys them anyway because you just want to have it in your collection, right?
And I want to support the developer. Like Prey, we got a review copy of Prey, but I bought it on sale not that long ago.
Exactly,
because I want to support them.
Exactly.
And I like the game.
People like Liam are the reason this guy's doing this sort of thing, right? Because if you want Darkwood for free, whether he wanted you to or not, you would have got it for free. It's a single player game. But by doing this, people are going to go, "Ooh, what's this free game?" And then they feel like, I shouldn't have this, so I'll download it. And then all of a sudden they like it. And if they want to support the game, they will, right? And you're saying he's took control of the situation totally, and it's a real good way of combating it, making it more of that. And I wonder if games eventually indie games will end up being like music, like what I was saying, where the only way indies can do it is give it all out for free. Because if I was selling my music or whatever, no one would have heard. That was the point I was trying to make earlier, right? No one would have heard it, no one would have bought it. But you give it away for free, and then it coaxes people who want to help. And I think that's how you have to model yourself as an indie. You know, the goodwill of other people, because there are good people out there. And there are people that will have pirated it. There are pirates out there that would have got it and they would have bought the game. I reckon he would have seen the boost themselves. And it'd be interesting to see those stats.
And what I like as well is that he's kind of banking on the fact that G2A are harming him, harming his company, or harming the company. I was saying him, but the company. They're harming the company. And they're not like there's no repercussions for them, but they are a shitty company. So this indie studio has just gone. Well, you're a shitty company. You're a shitty website. I want to call out how shitty you are and tell people I would rather that they had my game for free. I would rather die. Is that argument, like you said? I would rather that happen than they use your shitty website. So he's using their own reputation to punish them for the crime that they are committing, and it's just I think it's excellent handling the situation. It's an example to a lot of. I mean, I know it sounds daft to say people saying put your games away for free on Pirate Bay and whatever, but I feel like it is a proper pro-consumer friendly, respecting your fan base solution to a serious problem for a lot of indie developers.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason this guy stood out is because not many people are doing it. If everyone was doing it, all of a sudden he'd be lost in a sea of thing. Could be, I don't know why I'm having this conversation on the podcast, but I'm going to email this guy and I'm going to see if we can get some stats, because I want to see if we can do a follow-up on this, because it's interesting, isn't it? So I wonder how these headlines and this Pirate Bay things affected the sales. I reckon he might divulge that information. We will find out. I'm just saying that now. I don't know why. I should have saved that for later. We'll do some action. We'll do a journalist. Sorry about that.
Those are the topics for those are the topics for this week's podcast. Here comes the main event. Fact of the week. It's what we're all here for. Jingle. Okay, that feels like the right amount of time. So here we go. Fact of the week. In Street Fighter... Sorry. Did I just cock up fact of the week? Let me go again.
It's all right.
In Street Fighter, the movie, the game... You can see how that might have been confusing for me.
Yes.
In Street Fighter, the movie, the game, Jean-Claude Van Damme was only available for 4 hours. So the rest of his work was done by stuntman Mark Stefanich. On to the comments then. James Griffin asks first up this week. Destiny 2 comes out on the consoles in 2 weeks. Or it was 2 weeks when he wrote it. Are any of you jumping straight on board, excited to get straight into the game, or is anyone sitting on the fence until there are some reviews out there?
Got quite the spectrum along here, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm going like in feet with both feet. I was a big fan of the first one. Yeah. What are you guys?
I'm sort of the middle ground of us all, I guess. I'm looking forward to it, but I wouldn't say I'm quite as hyped as Mike is for it, you know. But I think it'll be a good game.
I feel like I'm the Boromir to Mike's Aragorn here, and I'm just following him blindly.
Cheers, man, that's cool.
I'm buying the game because he's told me that we're going to have a good time playing it, and I believe him. I wasn't too fond of the beta because I couldn't snipe. What? And Call of Duty, what's a guy got to do to snipe around here in 2017, boy? But no, I'm going to be getting... The thing is, Divinity Original Sin's out, right, next month. But I'm going to get a Destiny 2, because we're going to have a nice time. And
there are sniper rifles in it.
There are snipers in there, even if they are kind of...
You never know, it might be different.
It could be different. And the beta had some amazing level design, skyboxes. I felt like everything was so gargantuan around me. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be getting it on console as well, so... I'm glad Gaz isn't here for that, because I know that
we're all going
to get on console.
I played Destiny on PS4, and I actually played it last gen for a little bit as well on, I think it was 360 before, because it was on.
Oh right, I got it launched,
and it was much shitter, obviously. But it's So it is a console game to me because it just feels like that. It feels like a feet up on the coffee table, sitting on the sofa experience. It's so easy to just shoot stuff in the head and feel great while doing it, which is a terrifying sentence. But it's a game that it feels like a console game to me. I've heard that the PC version is too easy because it's too easy to just hammer home those headshots. It's so the mouse and keyboard. It's the game. The design of the game doesn't quite translate.
Heavily console-fied, I guess.
Exactly, it is, and that sounds like a ridiculous thing to say. I'm sure Gareth would have some things to say about that, but that's how I feel about it. I feel like it's going to be a PS4 game all the way for me. So there you go. If you're getting it, James, let us know. We can have a game. So Nye Fandon, I think he's got quite a long comment. He asks, "Hey guys, long time fan, but I've just become a patron. My gaming question is this. In hindsight, do you guys think EA knew on some level that Mass Effect Andromeda would not do as well as expected even before launch?" So he's asking here, they announced that they wouldn't have a season pass, and they these were before the game came out. So did they
before everyone knew how bad it really was?
So did EA know? Well, yes, they did. I mean, based on the information that's come out since, the drama between BioWare Montreal and BioWare.
Was it Edmonton?
Was it Edmonton?
I think, yeah, they tried to swoop in at the last minute and like take the project away from them.
So there was conflicts with, you know, internally within BioWare, and that obviously had an effect. And yeah, I think the company was braced for a bit of a crash. And they had that before with Mass Effect 3. You know, the ending there. They've had backlashes with the Mass Effect series before, so they probably saw it coming.
I think you could see it in the marketing for the game as well. Like Mass Effect 3, that all the way until that game came out, they were hammering that game with like adverts everywhere.
The sniper in the Tower of London, all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
All those like publicity stunts. None of that for Andromeda. So it was, and EA are a massive company. Of course, they would have known the state the game was in. They just tried to quietly get it out there.
They were like, hey, boss, we made the game. It's our first game. How is it? And then they looked at that facial animation shit and they were like, great work, BioWare Montreal. Pat on the head. And then they were like talking on the phone to Edmonton, like, hey, mate, you better fucking hurry up with Anthem. Because I swear this is going to be a rocky year, man. That's what it's like. It was kind of like they couldn't just go to them and say it's shit, but they were like, that's good.
It's not like they did a Randy Pitchford either, where they were like Alien Clone Marines, where they were like, no, the game's good, you're shit.
Yeah, exactly.
EA didn't even fight it. They were just like, yeah, it was a disappointment. We've put the series on hold for a bit. Let's just move on.
Took all our staff around the back of the shed.
Yeah, well,
firing line. They're all gone now.
To bring back Boromir, it was like, why can't you be more like your brother Faramir, innit? Faramir has done his best.
Yeah,
Faramir is trying. He's made Mass Effect Andromeda.
2 Tolkien references,
but he's not Boromir.
He's not
Boromir, is he? Fuck, he's not Boromir. Be more like Boromir. Next up, Simply Phil asks. Okay, this is a good one. Fact of the week is funny. Cheers, Phil. Because surely it's supposed to be in the tradition of Great British humour. It's so bad, it's good. Well, I don't quite know what he means by it's so bad, it's good.
Maybe it's like when people say something's sick. Maybe bad boy.
Like he means bad, like really,
bad.
Really good.
That's
what you mean.
Michael Jackson bad.
And he goes on, please don't drop it, Gaz. Please. So yeah, that's an appeal directly to Gaz there. Someone who really enjoys Fact of the Week.
Where is Gaz?
So
that's all we'll say.
Didn't he complain about Fact of the Week last week?
Yeah.
Anyway, PGG Troll follows up, so here's some balance here. That Fact of the Week is weak. You should get rid of it and add Fan of the Week, where you have a fan sit in, or whoever, via Skype. That would be interesting. But it would be interesting, definitely. And you know what? I'd love to do that. I mean, the Video Gamer Podcast used to do the thing where they had a Patreon tier, which was like $50 or whatever. Yeah. And if you paid $50, then you were added to a list, and then on the list you could join the podcast, like, you know, and they'd have a guest every few podcasts or so. That was great. I really enjoyed that. So who knows? It might be a possibility in the future.
It's not Fact of the Week, though.
It's not Fact of the Week. Yeah.
It's just what it boils down to, isn't it?
Marvin says, maybe you can make a AAA shooter for 10 million quality-wise, but that does not mean that the game will be a success. And these smaller studios can't gamble on that, or they are toast if they fail. How much did the people who made Lawbreakers invest? Good reviews, but the game sold so poorly they might as well look for a different career. So this is an interesting topic. I like what he's saying here. Like, you could probably make something decent with 10 million, 6 million, as the guy said originally, and come out with something good. But look. I mean, Lawbreakers was kind of done on a budget.
Lawbreakers was unlucky because it is a good game, even I don't like that type of game, but I played it and I was like, this is pretty good for what it is. Yeah. It doesn't guarantee a success. No one bit it, right?
No one knew what it was either.
Yeah, exactly. And
because the marketing is so huge, isn't it? The marketing expense is a huge part of how successful.
So if you ask most people what Lawbreakers was before it came out, everyone assumed it was like an Overwatch clone, hero shooter. When in reality, it was more like Quake 3, Quake Champions, that sort of fast-paced tournament shooter. But nobody knew that. They all thought it was just an Overwatch clone.
The fact of it is that it kind of looks like that. They all belong in this soup to people who aren't interested in those games. You put Overwatch, Battleborn, Lawbreakers, Paladins, fucking Paragon. You just put them all in just they all kind of look the same, and you kind of the information you know about them makes them seem similar, right? And that's exactly what happened. Lawbreakers just plopped into the middle of that and fucking sank like a stone. The fact that Brink came out and did so well.
Years later,
considering that it is Brink, it did really well, and it's kind of shown up Lawbreakers for in terms of players.
So who knows? Maybe we'll see more of Lawbreakers in 2022 when it's free to play and everyone's playing it then.
Yeah. I feel for Cliff Bleszinski though. I mean,
he put his heart into it.
He did, and you can see a lot, and he really pushed. And so, this is a great comment and a totally good point. Sometimes it comes down to just the look of the draw. Do people buy it? You know?
Yeah.
So
exactly. It's worth noting, by the way, that he commented on our video. Daniel, what was it? Vavra.
Vavra.
So he commented on the video and said, by the way, I was kind of joking about the 6 million thing, but the point I was making was blah blah. You know, so
see the comment on
he's
screen.
not saying literally 10 to 6 million, which you kind of think, that's obviously you don't mean it literally, but it's certainly worth bearing in mind that games are so expensive. Like the marketing budget is so important to a lot of them, and if you don't spend enough on advertisements, you're not going to do well.
It made me laugh when I read the fucking article for the first time last week. He was like, you can make a game for 6 million, and then he put at the end and 50 million for marketing. I was like, what? See,
that's like everyone knows Call of Duty because they rent out freaking IMAX cinemas in London to unveil their game. It shows you the power of marketing.
That's a quarter. Like I was saying last week, the money that they spend on marketing could solve world hunger. That's how much money we're talking about here. That's a fact.
And everyone would still know the COD's out anyway. So what's the fucking point?
Exactly.
So Cassius Catino says, this is another comment about Lawbreakers. According to Steam Spy, Lawbreakers player base is dwindling. Do you think Cliff Bleszinski was admirably brave to launch a game with a little tweak in its features, or was his just batshit stupid for not having the features not tweaked enough to separate itself from the bunch, knowing the current saturation of the genre? So this is touching on what we've just been talking about. Did he do enough to distance that game from the genre?
I don't think they did. No. I saw Total Biscuit. He did a video about Lawbreakers, and he went on to say that like half of the mechanics that make Lawbreakers unique weren't ever shown off in trailers. They're not even explained in game. Like there's no tutorial. You literally have to go into the options menu and look at the controls for these. Like they can do anti-grav moves and everything, and like special moves, and they're not even explained.
This is kind of like the film industry, isn't it, where someone makes a film and then the company who makes the trailer gets a hold of the footage and then sells that film as something completely not what it is, and
like Suicide Squad.
And there's so many examples of it. I mean, and this is something that might have happened here, where Cliff Bleszinski's not worrying about trailers and shit. He's making the game, he's optimizing the game, he's talking to players, he's talking to the developers, talking to the programmers. He wants to get it perfect. That's what his focus is. He is the creator of the game. So then someone else makes the trailer for him, and he's probably if he saw the trailer and had like a final sign off on it or something, which I don't think he probably would have, but if he did, he wouldn't have gone, hang on a minute, you haven't shown off all of these features here, because he's just immersed in the making of the game. And his game looks pretty cool in that trailer. That's good enough.
It's such a great point. And that it probably falls down to that. He would have missed that detail because he can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. He knows the features are in the game because he's worked on it. But he can't look from a outside perspective and do that. And you're right, because Lawbreakers, from all I remember from the trailer, it was loads of guys and girls going, it was the craziest moment of my life, and it was like
quotes from like esports players and streamers,
which I have to say was actively off-putting to me.
I guess my heart was pounding. I'm thinking, fucking, I don't want that. I don't want to feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack.
I have fucking 2 coffees, mate.
Exactly. Calm down, everybody. All right.
So there we go.
Lumberneck.
There's Lawbreakers again. Ben Mortimer asks, "Hey again, gents. Just curious whether or not you guys are ever planning on having any meetups in future." Well, that'd be great, Ben. We're going to EGX not long ago.
2 weeks ago now.
On to this comment, did Ben say that he was in Birmingham at the end of this comment?
No, he's in Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Yeah, so he's pretty far away. But we're in North Wales, so we're not exactly in the centre of video games, media, and community and things like that. But it's pretty central for the UK, I guess. If you're way up in Scotland or if you're way down in the south, we're pretty central. So there's definitely some things we could do. I'm certainly not opposed to the idea. Maybe I'd love to do some kind of live podcast or something like that. Would be great, and just with communication from the audience.
Gas is always saying he's up for a meetup or something like that. But something like that would be awesome. And I'm interested to see how many people are at EGX that recognise us, and that'd be interesting. So I guess there's going to be hopefully like a little bit of a mini thing going on in Birmingham. But it's definitely something we're going to be looking at, and we're all over, aren't we?
We're a young channel. We'll get around to it. We've not been doing it long, so Eventually, Ben. But thanks for asking. That's very kind. Kieran W asks, pick one character from any game who is tasked with protecting you in the zombie apocalypse. Who do you choose?
That big fucker from Fallout 3. You know, the big super mutant?
Yeah.
Forks is his name?
He's got to be immune to zombieism as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah, man. Get him all over it. And he's ace. And he's got that big sledgehammer. He crushes skulls like nothing. And like you're saying, I could use him as a human shield. He's very good.
He'd just be like wade into them. He would just be like, hang on a minute. I'll just give me 2 seconds. I'll get my shoes on. And he just like wades into the zombies, clears them up.
Get me shoes on.
That's a very good pick. What about you, Liam?
I'll go for another Fallout-inspired choice, but I'm going to go to the very extreme and say Liberty Prime.
The fucking communist killer.
Yeah, one, the zombies won't be able to get you because you're in a giant fucking robot.
Yeah.
And he's got laser eyes and missiles and all that. So
is he a character or is he a weapon?
A weapon, I get. All right, if I have to go character... if I'm trying to cheat.
You'd pick Metal Gear if you could have picked
I probably would have.
That's your answer to like 50% of these questions.
It is.
Metal Gear, because it is literally the best at most things.
Alright then, I will another Metal Gear choice, but this is an actual character, Grey Fox from Metal Gear Solid. Because he's a cyborg ninja, he's got superhuman reflexes, he could go invisible.
Yeah.
And
he's got a sword, right? Unlimited ammo on a sword.
Yeah. Exactly, so he can just like decapitate those zombies, no problem.
I'm going to go with Frank West off of Dead Rising.
That's a good choice.
Because he would not only help me survive, he would make it fun.
Yeah, he's got his CV's impressive in terms of zombie killing. Like he's got quite a good portfolio.
I was thinking for a second, I was almost going to go with Joel, but that would be fucking miserable.
Be very depressing.
I would be alive, but I wouldn't be happy about it.
Do you want to play cards, Joel? What's the point? All right, mate. Fuck off.
What about Chris Redfield? He can punch boulders. He's that strong.
Yeah,
he'd make you feel a bit bad about yourself, don't he?
I'd be like, I'm not really doing much here, Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like the OG, though.
I feel like Frank West would make it fun, though.
Yeah,
he'd help me get some cool weapons.
He could
and stuff.
crack some one-liners. Sort of thing.
Just you're in a zombie apocalypse. Just enjoy it. Make the most of it, I guess. Because otherwise,
brewski with your mate
what's
Frank.
The point? Jared Lam, what are your thoughts on camera effects in games? I like this question. What are your thoughts on camera effects in games like lens flare, film grain, raindrops, etc., etc.? These are added to give games a cinematic effect. I understand the use of blood on the screen to indicate damage, but the others are unnecessary in my opinion. They ruin the immersion for me. It completely depends. Sorry, it completely depends on the game or the implementation. For example, Mass Effect, you had quite a bit of J.J. Abrams style kind of lens flare and that. You also had nice film grain, which I liked. I liked it, and it just made it give it this distinct kind of flavour. Made it feel sci-fi-ish. It had like this cartoonish, comic bookish kind of style to it. I liked it. So I don't know.
I think a lot of things like depth of field and chromatic aberration, lens flare.
That's a bad one. Chromatic aberration.
It's generally stuff. For me, I don't see why developers put it in games, because if you're doing video and stuff like this, generally that's effects you want to avoid. You don't want, because they're like issues with a camera lens, and so it's like sort of putting flaws on your game's camera, I guess.
Make it look cinematic.
Yeah.
They had an effect on The Division, which I really like, which they only added later on. That's right, I played a lot of The Division. They have this thing called the neutral or natural lighting. I can't remember what it is. Basically, it had like this artificial lighting system in the game so you could see things clearer, right? And that was just on. That was just the way the game looked. But you could switch that off after this certain update. And the only lights that you got were from the sun, were from street lights, were from lights.
Barrels.
Stuff like that's good, I think.
I loved that. I flipping loved that. And because it was so dark, it was pitch black at night then, and when you saw some flames in the distance or something, not only did it look amazing, it was so immersive. That's the word you used in your comment there. It literally made me feel a little bit more vulnerable at night because I couldn't see where I was going and stuff like that. And it just made the game world feel a lot more believable because it was dark where it should be dark. It was really, really light where it should be light. And I love that kind of thing.
I guess it's kind of like CGI. Like when it's shit, you notice it. When it's really good, you don't notice it, and it's so flawless, and it'll help with the immersion. So there's loads of examples of it being shit, but it can work well and often help the immersion, I think.
But that was an interesting comment, man. Thank you very much. Good question. Adam Foe asks, after playing modern linear action games, the Uncharted series for example, I find action movies less enjoyable. The spectacle of big action scenes aren't as compelling anymore. I've gotten used to being in control myself. I often find myself getting bored with movies these days. Do you guys have similar experiences along these lines? No. I don't enjoy Uncharted because of the fact that I feel like I might as well just be watching it in a film, because that is probably the opposite effect to what you have.
Sounds like it, yeah.
I think there are some points in a game where I think this just belongs. This isn't gaming. This belongs on the big screen kind of thing. This is a movie. So it's probably the same issue, but in complete reverse that I have with you. I don't know. What about you guys?
I think I don't mind. I think the difference for me is when I play a game, it's because I get to interact with it.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm watching a movie, it's just like I can sit back and admire the spectacle sort of thing.
So the fact that you can interact is what he's asking. Has that ruined the movie experience for you at all?
No, it's not for me, because I know that disconnect. It's a fundamentally different experience to me.
Yeah.
Interacting with the game is completely different to me than sitting on my sofa watching like an action movie.
Different mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have that, like, if I'm watching a movie, I know I can just sit back and relax.
Yeah.
But especially like with an action movie, I love watching really over the top action movies, like kung fu martial arts movies and stuff, where they go completely ridiculous.
Watch better movies, I reckon, is what I would say, Adam.
Yeah.
I mean, just watch The Raid and then tell me that action movies aren't exciting.
Yeah, there's different stuff in it. It's for me, it doesn't matter if it's a film or a game. Like, it's just about the story at the end of the day, isn't it? So whether it's like linear, like Uncharted 2, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, you feel like you're in a Hollywood film, but it's awesome. And then I don't know, I can keep them in my head. I can keep them separate. So it's just like,
yeah, that's how I feel.
You know, it doesn't matter what medium it is, as long as I'm enjoying the story. I'm enjoying the story, I guess. And I'm glad that I feel like that, because I must be easygoing. Do you know what I mean? Some people, like what you're saying, and you're getting used to that, which is awesome because you can control it. And then watching a film, you're like, oh, wouldn't it be good if I could go over here? But you're watching a film, right? I can keep them separate, and I think that's good for me. But I feel
the thing that's really interesting is Netflix and other companies are kind of exploring the crossover thing a lot more now, and actually having choose your own story series and stuff like that, where you decide what happens next. And it's the blurring of the lines is ridiculous these days, and it's just going to get more and more. There's going to be more and more crossover, isn't there? So that's cool.
VR movies, that's a big one as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's another good question.
Yeah, again, it's good questions this week.
Thank you very much. Taurus Trio. Why has no one apart from Jake played What Remains of Edith Finch? I've played it. I've played.
Yeah. But how much have you played?
I played about 3/4 of an hour.
The first story in it.
Yeah.
Which is like half the game, isn't it?
Cheeky boy. No, there's about, I don't know, there's about eight short stories, and Mike's played. You played the first one, haven't you?
Don't try and belittle my experience with the
No,
games.
I'm not. I'm just saying, when you say you've played the game, people might get the wrong idea, and I don't want people to get the wrong idea and think you played the game.
I'm not gonna rack on it. I just wasn't for me. It's not my cup of tea.
I feel like me talking about the game is putting people off, because I'm just raising the expectations and the hype for it. So I can imagine, and everyone says they'll get round to it, like Gaz and Liam have both said it. It's a 2-hour game, innit? But again, do we need someone else that's played the game at this point? Because it's just going to be this. I mean, I'm bad enough, aren't I, at this point? But yeah, I don't fucking know. Why doesn't Mike watch a Studio Ghibli film yet, innit? It's one of them. It's one of life's greatest mysteries. Mike did play it. He played the first story.
I listen to your advice a lot. If you say something's good, I'll believe you and I'll play it. But
I just give you a lot, don't I? And there's a lot to take in. I am quite overwhelming.
So, I mean...
I bought Night in the Woods after your recommendation. I loved it.
There you go.
Maybe by the end of the year, Liam or Gaz would have played it. Maybe. I reckon I'm banking on Liam, to be honest.
It's probably going to be me, isn't it?
I'd put money on that as well. So finally, the last question. Gotham Pop. Video games are still blamed for violence, the decline of health in children, and so on. And overall, the industry still isn't taken as seriously as the music or movie industries. The gaming industry has quickly become more than a simple hobby. What do you think are the merits of playing games? What healthy aspects do they add to people's lives? Healthy, so that, I mean, mental health as well, I guess, isn't it? But there's loads of things. I think the fact that it's not taken as seriously, it's just it's an interesting. It depends who you're talking to at this point. I think of that, because it's being diluted. Like there's so many people who you probably are just mainstream public figures, for example, right? Like radio DJs and people who read the news on Radio 1 in the UK. I know that I follow a couple of those, and they really like games, but that's not their job. They're just like radio presenters and whatever, and they on their personal kind of Twitter feeds and whatever, they really like talking about video games. The more that happens, the more public figures come forward, the more like actors and stuff like that, and you know, say, oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of video games, things like that. That's how you get that taken seriously conversation really rolling, I think. But I think it's already well underway. I think it's just a matter of time until it's basically on a par with things. I think we got a responsibility as gamers not to be fucking, you know, mental, and not to
murder other human beings because
things
of
like
games.
that. Yeah, and just, you know,
review bomb Dota 2. Where's he going to go with this one?
Our conversation needs to be mature and things like that, or mature to a certain point, which will happen as people get older.
When we covered this, was it you? It was me, you, and Gaz, wasn't it? We covered this in detail, actually. So if you're new to our Patreon, we did cover this. It's about a half an hour discussion a couple of weeks ago, and Gaz brought up some examples from a TED Talk with a psychiatrist or neurologist, something like that, talking about the health benefits, and we do discuss it. And Mike wasn't here for that, so that's a bit of Mike's opinion on that there. But yeah, perfectly good point. It's you basically, and how I put it last time. I know it sounds mean, but it's when like the baby boomers perish, when they. Like you're saying, like
I was wondering what you're going to say there, like expire.
I did say expire last time, because I thought it's a bit too harsh to say die. But you know, like
perish is cooler.
Yeah. But you know, like you're not going to see like Jon Snow or Trevor McDonald talking about, just smash what remains of Edith Finch, 2 hours bullshit. I want my 1999 back. Yeah. But you can imagine someone from Radio 1 doing that, and like you said, it'll be more acceptable because that's the only thing holding it back. Really, is the older people who still feel a need to legitimize people's hobbies. Your hobby still needs to be acceptable and suitable. You know, oh, what are you wasting your time doing it on? Well, it's my hobby. I'll waste my time doing it. Why won't you fucking old bastard? So yeah, it's shit like that.
That's true though. That's totally true. Like I don't think that happens. Like what hobbies are there these days that people will be like, oh my god, you like
gardening? That? Old people shit.
I don't know. No, there's a huge community of hipsters and whatever that just like gardening,
grow their organic vegetables.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a communities for everything these days. Everything is so acceptable as long as it's not like, you know, criminal or completely psychotic. Most things are just like, oh cool, you're into that. I think that is one of the big changes from now to the baby boomer generation. Like when you're in the 50s and the 60s still, you know, depending on what you did, that was a huge part of, you know, what your job was who you are, and that was like, you know, if you're a builder, you have a responsibility to be manly and only do manly things and go to the pub after work and stuff like that. Yeah. Like that's not the case anymore. Is that you can go home and play games and it doesn't matter it doesn't matter who you are now, as much as it was back then. So I think that's dead right. It's a generational thing.
It's a generational thing, and I think Mike actually made this point. You weren't in the podcast, but you did make this excellent point, which is, and the reason that mainstream media happens to be against it is because newspapers and things like that, their main target base is the elderly and older people, which is something that
I mean, a lot of them are in control of those industries as well.
Yes, but it's also the fact that they know that people want to have their opinions reflected back at them, so that's why you get like all kinds of you know, whatever a certain generation thinks, that's what sort of newspapers will do, will kind of reflect those opinions. They're confirming their biases and kind of confirming, yes, you are right to be afraid of video games because look at how scary they are. You know, that's what it's all about, really. But it's a big topic. That as far as what healthy aspects do they add, I guess mental health wise is pretty good for community building and stuff like that. And it can also be negative. It can be very, very negative as well.
Social interaction
helps you unwind.
De-stressing. Studies show that people play games like an hour a day better at solving problems and logical thinking. There's all sorts.
So good question there, man. Good questions all around. If you want us to answer your questions, just reply to this post on our Patreon feed if you're a patron. Ask away and we'll answer next week. We had to cut a few this week because we got so many comments. We had about 44 or something comments on the post last week, so that's amazing. Keep them coming. If we didn't answer your question, just ask it again this week and maybe we can get it done this week. Thank you very much for watching the podcast. I've been Mike Williams. I've been joined by Jake Kulkowski and Liam McKelvey. See you next time.